President Trump is not bowing to pressure from the left over illegal immigration. He's their worst nightmare. A leader who keeps his promises and has a spine. Following a court order to reunite more than 2,000 migrant children who were separated from their parents in May and June, a move that Trump had already done by the way, the Trump administration just released a new policy for illegal aliens with children. It's perfect and they won't like it in the least. He's giving them two choices. Leave the country with your children or leave the country without them. Works for me. The media and the left are in a meltdown over it. The left is spinning this as Trump's instructions are not allowing parents who were separated from their children under his zero-tolerance policy to reunite with their children while they await a decision on asylum, a protection sought by thousands of migrant families fleeing violence in Central America. That's not true as I understand it. But say it is. He's given them a choice here. They can be reunited as a family and leave since they entered illegally, or they can choose to leave their children behind and still leave. They broke the law and I see nothing wrong with this ultimatum in the least. Advocates for illegal immigrants are also claiming that even illegal immigrants who have already passed their initial asylum screenings are being presented with the form. We are seeing cases where people who have passed credible fear interviews and have pending asylum claims are being given this form, said Lee Ernst, a lawyer with the American Civil Liberties Union who is leading a class action lawsuit for family reunification. Most of these asylum seekers are not legitimate. To be granted asylum in the U.S., you must be fleeing genocide or threat of such, not gang violence or spousal abuse. They are playing the system. The only difference here is that Trump is through letting them play it. The zero-tolerance policy is not new. It was imposed under both Obama and Bush by a different name. It separates children from parents or guardians while illegal aliens are adjudicated and while they are vetted as the actual parents of these children. This stops human trafficking which is rampant on the border. Of the 12,000 children who came over the border before all of this, 10,000 did so without parents. Trump reversed the zero-tolerance policy on June 20 by executive order. But the media isn't telling you that. As far as I have heard, families are now kept together during the adjudication process. But that doesn't mean they get to walk into America and stay as the left is demanding. At question here is the definition of asylum and whether it applies to most of these immigrants. I contend it doesn't and so do many legal experts. The left from the very beginning has weaponized these children, playing on emotion to open the borders entirely. A child should never be held hostage to force a parent to relinquish their legal right to seek asylum, said Wendy Young, president of Kids in Need of Defense. That is a straw man argument. It is specious. NBC News is howling over this. In a June 26 decision, U.S. Judge Dana Sabraw of the Southern District of California ruled that the government must reunify the separated parents from their children, but made no stipulation that parents must be allowed to remain in the U.S. with their children while they wait for a judge to hear their asylum claim, a process that can take years. The Form U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, agents are directed to read to detained parents instructs them to sign next to one of two lines. I am requesting to reunite with my child for the purpose of repatriation to my country of citizenship, or I am affirmatively, knowingly, and voluntarily requesting to return to my country of citizenship without my minor child who I understand will remain in the United States to pursue available claims of relief. The agents are instructed to read the form in a language the immigrant understands, which usually means Spanish, but it can be hard to find Americans who know the indigenous languages spoken by many migrants. Jennifer Elza, who is a spokeswoman for ICE, points out that the form is designed to be given to immigrants who have received a final order of removal. It's the last step before they are to be deported. That should make sense to even the most liberal-minded out there, but they refuse to understand it and accept the reality of enforcing the rule of law at our border. An individual who has received a final order of removal has already been given the opportunity to make a claim of fear about returning to his or her country of citizenship, Elza said. Alien parents who are ordered removed can elect to be removed with or without their children. Neither choice has any bearing on the alien's eligibility to apply for protections available to them under the law, She continued, asylum is a specific legal action with a narrow definition. Leftists are trying to manipulate it to fit all illegal aliens and their current status. It's not going to work and it shouldn't. NBC News is claiming that similar instructions were given to child welfare workers in U.S. Health and Human Services shelters before Trump ended family separations. The workers were instructed to reunite parents and children only if the parents agreed to drop their own asylum claims as well as the claim of their child and be deported. Families who arrived in the U.S. after President Trump ended parent-child separations are being detained in family detention centers while awaiting a decision on asylum or deportation. The Justice Department has petitioned in a separate court case that the government should be allowed to hold children with their parents indefinitely. First the left screamed that families were being separated. Now, they are screaming that they are detained together. None of that matters. The end game here for the left is that they want the borders thrown wide open, all illegal immigrants released and immigration decriminalized. President Trump will never do this. He has vowed to secure our borders, our sovereignty and the rule of law.